So today we need to talk about inflation and price controls. A lot of people have been hitting up the inbox and saying that this price control plan or proposal from Vice President Kamala Harris, this is great. This is finally time. It's going to happen. It's going to help you actually save more money because Vice President Kamala Harris has a plan. She wants to control price gouging. She wants to control prices and ensure that grocery prices, food prices don't keep going up. However, today I want to break down what's going on, why many economists say this is actually a bad sign. We're following in the footsteps of Venezuela and what they did, and they have proven that it doesn't work. So I'll break down what's going on, why price controls might be a bad thing for you and I, and what this means moving forward. So I'll break all this down in just a moment, but all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates, and now let's begin. So first off, what is going on? Well, here's what we know. Vice President Kamala Harris is talking about price gouging, but why is she proposing a ban on it? Well, it's simple. When a grocery store starts gouging their customers with the price, for instance, let's say after a hurricane, you come in and you want to buy bottled water. Well, guess what? The bottled water, instead of it being $4.99 a case, it's $22 a case. That's a form of price gouging. Or when you go to, let's say, somewhere around a campsite and they are, again, trying to sell firewood. The firewood maybe is listed for $29.99, but it's just firewood, which normally you get for $5 to $10. They're selling it for 3 times the amount because, well, they can. There's no other place around that sells firewood. So guess what? They're going to gouge you. Well, here's what you need to know. This is a huge problem, okay? It's a huge problem. And the reason I say this is a huge problem is because we are seeing, and we have seen over the past couple of years, where the Biden-Harris administration have been telling the U.S. consumer that it's not inflation. Inflation isn't the problem. It's price gouging, corporate greed. That's what they're telling us. Well, Kamala Harris has a plan. She's calling for price gouging ban on food and groceries. Now, will it work? Will it go anywhere? I don't know. But here's the issue. Okay, I want to read this to you. Look at this. It says, a winning issue for Trump. Repeal the Biden-Harris price controls. Now, this came out this morning. I thought this was very interesting. And the reason why I thought this was interesting, because the conversation that I had with a friend of mine just the other day. Okay? Look at this. It says when President Biden and Vice President Harris blame inflation on price gouging and corporate greed, they are imitating Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro. Now, what did he do? Well, let's get into that. Here's what I think is, again, interesting. It says price controls have a long and unfortunate track record. In Venezuela and everywhere else, they have been tried. In that country, when bakers were forced to sell bread at a loss, they baked less or stopped baking bread altogether. This resulted in scarcity and higher prices for everyone, which Maduro again blamed on the bakers' greed. Now, here's what I think is interesting. So let's say you have a bakery and you are told that you, no matter what, you have to sell a loaf of bread for, $1, $2, right? It's not a percentage of profit. It is a certain dollar amount. That's across the board. The issue is, what if it costs you more money to produce the product than to sell it? Most bakeries would simply just stop producing the product. They would shut down and realize their business is no more. Well, according to this article, they're saying the Maduro would have blamed the bakers again on their greed, that they just want money. As a result, they stopped baking the bread. Listen to this. I asked a friend of mine. He runs a grocery store. I asked him, how would Harris's price controls plan work for your grocery store? Do you see any changes happening? And do you feel that you are gouging customers on price? That's what I asked. This was his response. He says, and I quote, "It's funny that you asked me that because my wife asked me the same thing last night. No, we are not price gouging our customers, and in fact, we are making less money now than we were before the pandemic. I'm not sure how we will be impacted because of the potential price controls, but I know what many other grocers are talking about. We have discussed closing multiple locations. If we are told that our prices are too high, yet we can provide proof that we aren't gouging our customers, then how can somebody tell us what we can and can't charge? I honestly don't think this goes anywhere, though. I am not too concerned with it." Now, this was his response. We discussed this in length after this, but when he says that I know what many other grocers are talking about, we have discussed closing multiple locations. And here's the reason why. And again, I want to just break this down. Let's look at a store like Kroger, Fred Meyer, Albertson Safeway, something like that. Okay, just a larger grocery chain. Let's say you have a Kroger on, over on 5th Street, and then you got another one over on 22nd Street, right? In the same city, they are 15 blocks apart, right? Let's say something like that, 15, 17 blocks apart. Okay. Here's the issue. They are now being told that they can't sell products for over a certain dollar amount. And again, or over a certain percentage of what the product costs, right? Well, here's the issue. They have overhead that they have to control. That means they have employees, they have a lease, they have just janitorial staff, they have everything, lights, right, utilities, okay, everything. Well, if they have two different stores within, let's say, 3 miles, what they were discussing is, well, let's get rid of one store, keep the other one, keep the big one, okay? We will kind of introduce the price controls there, but we're going to let go of all the other employees. We're going to let go and take all that inventory that we have and just push it over to the other store, okay? And so what they were discussing is, yes, price controls could potentially work, but the issue is they're actually going to have too much inventory coming in for a temporary time or for short time. And then what they're going to see is people that are producing, let's say, meat, right? Beef, okay? Anybody that raises cattle, they're going to have price controls as well. Now, they are going to go through the same thing, just like the baker. Okay, let's say they're being told that you can only sell beef at this much per pound. And they're like, well, I got all these different ranch hands I have to pay. I have all this land I have to, keep up with. Maybe I just get rid of half my land. I'll sell it to that developer. I'll make a boatload of money from the land, and I'll just pocket that money. And then I'm just going to have, a quarter of the farm that I used to. So I'm just going to produce less. If you produce less, keep in mind, this is where supply and demand principles come in. If you produce less supply, but yet demand stays high, prices go up. But if you have more supply, demand stays the same, prices go down. This is where some economists are saying that what Vice President Kamala Harris is proposing is potentially the worst thing that we could do at this time. So, I just wanted to share that with you because I know a lot of people are saying that this is good news, that, yep, they need to vote for Vice President Kamala Harris because this is going to work. I'm not saying who to vote for. I'm just telling you, price controls don't usually work. Sometimes they help temporarily, but in the long run, they usually don't work. So, we're going to see what happens in the near future. I don't think no matter who tries to propose this, I don't think it goes through. I do think this is more of a political stunt because everybody's talking about inflation, cost of groceries, fast food, everything's going up. So what they're doing is they're pushing something out there telling you that they're going to fix inflation. No, inflation does not just get fixed overnight. It will not be fixed within the first 100 days of the next administration. It's going to take some time. So I will leave you with that. But again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.